Welcome back to the Reading Corner with Miss G. For more great Thanksgiving stories, subscribe here. This is the story of the first Thanksgiving. Do you know it? What do you do for Thanksgiving? Do you have a great big feast with family? Do you eat turkey and pumpkin pie? Well, this is the story of the very first Thanksgiving that happened over 400 years ago. On a bright September day in 1620, the Pilgrims said goodbye to family and friends. They were leaving England to find a new home far across the ocean in America. There, they hoped to be free to worship God in their own way. The voyage was long and stormy. Huge waves washed across the deck of the Mayflower. The Pilgrims were sick and fearful, but they found hope in the courage and skill of Master Jones and his crew of sailors. On a clear November morning, a sailor sighted land. Land ho! At last, the weary Pilgrims had reached America. Winter had begun, and the Pilgrims needed homes. They were eager to go ashore to begin building. On land, they found cleared fields and a deep green forest that grew to the edge of the sea. They cut down huge trees to make into beams. They gathered dried reeds to thatch roofs. Then, on Christmas Day, they began to build. Outside, all was white with frost and snow. Brr. But inside, each house a fire burned. The women cooked pottage over the coals. They patched their worn clothes by the light of the fire. They kept the little children close to its warmth. At the end of the day, the fire gave comfort to the cold and tired men. That winter, many of the Pilgrims became very sick. Some of them died. Those who could cared for the others. They prayed to God for help. Then, in March, they had a surprise. Indians came to offer friendship. The Pilgrim leader and the native chief met. They feasted and talked. Then they made a promise to help each other. One Indian decided to stay with the Pilgrims. He spoke English. His name was Squanto. Spring had come. It was time to plant. The Pilgrims planted peas and barley brought from England, but they knew nothing of growing Indian corn. Squanto showed them. He also told them where to hunt and how to fish in this new land. The Pilgrims praised God for sending Squanto to them. The forest had many things that the Pilgrims needed. It gave them wood for their homes and fires. It had deer and nuts and berries. But the forest was also dark and mysterious. At night, the Pilgrims could hear the howling of wolves. One summer day, young John Billington went berry picking, but he strayed too far from the forest path and lost his way. Day after day, John wandered through the forest. He had only berries and wild greens to eat. At night, he huddled beneath pine boughs to sleep. Finally, some Indians found him and sent word to Plymouth. Governor Bradford sent a boat to bring John home. The Indians sang and danced, and everyone exchanged gifts. The Pilgrims were happy that young John had been found. The green leaves of summer turned to red and gold. The corn grew tall. The stalks became dry and yellow. Plump orange pumpkins covered the fields. What season is it? Fall. Wild geese filled the blue autumn sky, and brown feathered turkeys gobbled everywhere. The Pilgrims began to gather the corn and pumpkins. It was time to give thanks to God for a good harvest. On a sunny October day in 1621, Governor Bradford declared a time for Thanksgiving. The women and children put pots of pudding to simmer on the hearth. Fat geese and wild turkeys roasted slowly over the fire. Pies and cornbread baked in the outdoor ovens. Chief Massasoit and his people came with gifts. Then, with songs and prayers, the joyful feast began. The Thanksgiving celebration lasted 3 days. Is that how long your Thanksgiving lasts? Theirs lasted 3 days. Everyone ate and sang and played games. Do you play games on Thanksgiving? Together, the Pilgrims and Indians lived in peace and grew in friendship. Now, that's the end of our story. So if you want to, you can stop now. But I have for you, if you're interested, a little bit more information and some drawings that you can draw of the Pilgrims and the Indians. So you can draw your own Thanksgiving celebration. On these pages, there are some drawn pictures that I'm going to show you that you can copy and color. And then you can maybe put them on the stick and make a puppet out of them. So first you're going to copy these lines. I'll bring it up close for you. And they made theirs just light so that they're real light and easy to see. And you can use a pencil and a ruler to do that. Then you're going to draw the main outlines of the figure that I'm going to show you. And you're going to copy these lines in the box one box at a time. And then you can add some details like those on the pumpkin. I'll show you up close here in just a moment. And the face and the clothes. Just remember to copy one box at a time. And then you can erase the boxes and you'll have your pilgrim or your Indian, and then you can color it in. Put it on a pencil or a stick for a puppet. All right, so here's this first one. You can pause and take a look at this. There you go. So you can pause it and you can copy the boy with his pumpkin. All right, let's look at the next one. So you'll turn it back on. And then on this one, so of the 102 English settlers who sailed on the Mayflower, only about 50 were still living at the time of the first Thanksgiving. Some 90 Indians took part in the celebration. Can you imagine how much food they must have eaten during the 3-day feast? All right, so the men went hunting to get enough food for everyone. The Pilgrims used long guns called muskets. And the Indians hunted with bows and arrows. And then here we have the Thanksgiving feast was cooked over wood fires. Here, a Pilgrim boy splits a log for the firewood by hitting the wedge blade with a wooden mallet. So again, I'm going to bring this up close so you can take a look. You can pause, and then you can copy this. And again, then you can put your after you color it, cut it out and put it on a stick or a pencil. All right, next page. So while the men hunted, the women and young people gathered corn, nuts, and other food. Pilgrim women wore coifs or tight-fitting white caps and sometimes wide-brimmed hats. So here up close are the women. Again, you may pause it so that you can copy it, and then copy, erase the lines, color, adding your details, put it on a stick or a pencil. The Indian men and women wore wampum necklaces. made of bear claws, flat stones, and shells. They also carried decorated bags made of deer skin and twine. So that's what they look like. Pilgrims dressed in colorful clothes. A lot of times people think they wore just black and white. Not true. It was colorful because they could dye their cloth with plants. All right, so they dressed in colorful clothes. Red, violet, plum, yellow, green, and blue were as common as dark gray and brown. Their hats often had colorful cloth bands and plumes of feathers. So here again is a close-up of what the Indians and the Pilgrims would have looked like, what they would have worn. So you can copy that, color it, put it on a sticker pencil. There you go. And do we have one more? Oh, one more. Can't forget the turkey. All right, Squanto spoke English well. Where did he learn the language? In 1605, so that was 15 years before the Pilgrims even came to America. So in 1605, Squanto was captured by an English sea captain and taken to England. For many years, he worked for Englishmen. Once, he was even a slave. This is who we're talking about. While Squanto was in England, a terrible sickness struck his people. Squanto knew nothing about the illness. When Squanto finally escaped England and made his way back to the native land, he found that all the people had died or gone away. Soon after, new people, the Pilgrims, arrived to settle on the land where Squanto's tribe had lived. They were the Pilgrims. And here, the last picture, is a wild turkey that you can, again, pause to copy, color, cut out, and it's yours to use. All right, did you enjoy that story? Isn't that fun? I love the story of the Pilgrims and the hardships that they had, and yet they were so thankful to God for Squanto helping them out and for the wonderful harvest they had the second year. All right, they had a really rough first year, but the second year they were blessed, and we're here today because of the Pilgrims. All right, happy Thanksgiving. See you next time.